in the
Whopping 4 minutes in regular programming there, but now we have a new tornado warning that has been issued. This is for the Triangle. This is for far eastern Orange County and for western Durham County. This does include the city of Durham. The tornado itself is just over the Orange-Durham County line. This is straight west of the city of Durham. This is the spot right here where you see the red. That's air going away from the radar. The green is air coming towards the radar site, which is in northern Johnston County. So we're looking at the lowest levels of the atmosphere here, and that is a significant area of rotation. It's not quite as strong as the one that we were just tracking in Wilson County, but still, I'd take tornado precautions everywhere in the vicinity in western Durham County, to the west of Durham itself, but any of the neighborhoods that are in the way of this. So we're looking at 15501. It's about to cross over I-85 as it continues moving to the north and east. So in Durham County, from Durham to the west and north, including Bahama, anywhere along 15501, along I-85 as it runs east to west through this portion of Durham County. Take those tornado precautions. It's just to the west of Tower Boulevard right now. So that tornado is radar indicated. Don't believe we have a confirmation. This is a radar indicated tornado warning from the National Weather Service that they have prompted a tornado warning. The warning itself goes until 8 o'clock this morning. So let's get an estimate of the wind speeds with this, Aaron, if we can, by just asking the radar to figure out how fast the air is going here and compare it to how fast the air is going there. The rotation has weakened actually quite a bit with just that latest radar scan. So optimistic that maybe this tornado warning will not be very long-lived, but we've seen rotating storms, plenty of them throughout the morning. We had a confirmed tornado in Wayne County early this morning, another confirmed tornado that just happened in Wilson County and did some damage around Elm City, and now this radar indicated tornado, but that wind speed has really weakened quite a bit with the latest scan. So we'll keep an eye on this in case it tightens up once again as it's making its way through western Durham County. Again, if you live in Orange County, your radio's going nuts, your phone's probably going off. This storm is now in Durham County and continuing to move off to the north and east. So headed towards Orange Factor by 8:06, Bahama by 8:13 in all estimates, but this is a long way down the line in the future. There are plenty of neighborhoods, subdivisions here to the west of Durham that the computer software doesn't recognize as separate communities, so it doesn't pop them up on that radar track, and that's still a strongly rotating storm right now. This is to the northwest of University Drive, where it intersects 15501, crossing over 751 there as it's tracking directly towards I-85. Can we pop the rain on and show you how much rain is in this vicinity? I'll put my hand in the right spot. That is a lot of rain that surrounds this particular rotation. You are not going to be able to see this as it's approaching you. That makes it just that much more dangerous. As if a tornado warned storm isn't dangerous on its own, it's even worse when you can't see the threat that's actually coming towards you. It's raining at a rate of almost 2.5 inches an hour. That is torrential tropical rainfall, and this is still associated with the remnants of Florence, so it is literally tropical rainfall that we're tracking that's moving through Durham County and Orange County. Both counties under flash flood warnings. That's the other concern, is that high water has been causing problems on the roads. Just had a report via Twitter, I forget the intersections, I have to read it off here, of some flooding within Durham itself. This is Mineral Springs Road in Durham between Freeman Road and Highway 98. That report relayed to me by Twitter that we just put out there as well. But the significant concern right now is the tornado warning now. You see some flashes of cloud to ground lightning, these kind of fading out. Not seeing a whole lot of cloud to ground lightning activity right within the vicinity of that rotation. That's a good sign. If we saw that rotation along with a sudden burst of a bunch of cloud to ground lightning strikes, be much more concerned about it. I think it's a strongly rotating storm. I doubt that it's producing an actual tornado at the moment, but that's still a possibility as the storm tracks off to the north and east, because the rotation has been getting stronger. We watched this storm. When we were covering the Wilson County storm, we were zooming around looking for other pockets of rotation we might have to watch. And this is the one that we were looking at as it was moving through Chapel Hill in southeastern Orange County, is now over the county line, just barely. That's the county line right there, and there's the area of rotation just west of 15501. So it's been kind of tightening up a little bit. So the National Weather Service has posted that tornado warning for a radar indicated tornado that is now moving through western Durham County, surrounded by a lot of rainfall too. There's another storm that was rotating in western Chatham County. I do want to pan out for just a moment while we wait for a new scan here. Again, to the west of Durham and to the north, you need to take those tornado precautions immediately. This one here that's headed towards Pittsburgh does not look like it's going to be a big cause for concern for us at the moment here. It's just the west of Gulf there in Chatham County. That one doesn't look like a huge issue. This one for the southwest of Siler City also doesn't look like it's a huge issue right now, but all the storms are spitting. So unfortunately, I don't think we're done interrupting the regular flow of programming here. here, because whenever there's a tornado warning issued and there's an imminent threat, we're going to be jumping in right away to let you know about it. Let's pan up to our tornado warning storm once again, and that has tightened up a little bit once again, but as soon as we say that, another scan goes by and then the rotation loosens out once again. So it's definitely spinning. It's kind of trying to make up its mind, it seems like, whether or not it actually wants to drop a tornado all the way down to ground level. And remember, that's the point at which it actually becomes a tornado. Even if it's a funnel cloud, it's just a funnel until it actually hits the ground. Anything to report, report it to law enforcement. We will get those reports through the National Weather Service. We haven't had any yet. I'm monitoring my laptop. That's what I'm pointing at here off screen. That's what we're watching for, listening for. But so far, just a radar-indicated tornado that's moving to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So it's staying just west of Durham itself. In Durham, about half the city is included within the tornado warning, but that rotation is going to stay to the west, but we'll have to watch all of them. And we are seeing some new cloud-to-ground lightning flashes just to the south of the storm, too. There's a lot of rain associated with this, so we're talking about heavy rainfall rates, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning with the storm, and the rotating area of the thunderstorm that we're going to watch as it advances to the north and east, to the north of the city of Durham here, right over I-85 within about the next 5 minutes or so. So within Orange County, if your weather radio is going off, if your wireless alerts are set up on your phone and that is blowing up on you, Orange County is in the clear from this storm. The rotation has moved just barely across the border into Durham County, and it's on a path that's going to keep it farther off to the east. So some of the crossroads, again, I-85 is the main crossroad that we're concerned about here, as it's moving just west of 15501, and it's going to continue progressing farther up into Durham County past 157 and eventually along 501 itself as it continues farther to the north. At the moment, it is not a real strongly rotating thunderstorm the way the one in Wilson County was. We're trying to get some more information about the other thunderstorm as well, trying to get some confirmation of what happened in Elm City to the north and east of the community of Wilson. That storm threatened Rocky Mount. This one is in a much more densely populated part of central North Carolina. Again, the velocities are not all that strong, and we have a new tornado warning that has been issued now for that same storm that was out east. So we have two tornado warnings. We're going to ping pong back and forth here. This one isn't the imminent threat. We have the new tornado warning in effect for Halifax County, for Nash County, and for Edgecombe County, because that storm, it went through Rocky Mount and then it tightened up once again. So we are looking at, again, the air moving away from the radar and towards the radar side by side, and that is a strong sign of rotation that has showed up again. So mentioned about these things kind of coming and going. Well, now we've prompted a new tornado warning that's going to be in effect. This is for eastern Nash County, for western Edgecombe County, and that extends up into Halifax County. That is in effect up until 8:15. So we're tracking the storm. It's still going right along US 301. We'll be checking inside of that storm to see if there are any signs of it potentially producing a tornado touchdown or maybe lofting any debris in the air. In fact, let's switch over to the debris signature mode, see if there's anything in the air with this storm. We'll also check on the Durham County storm as well and see if there's any evidence that a tornado has actually touched down and done any damage along the way. So inside of that storm, I'm seeing a little bright spots there, but it's not where the rotating part of the storm is, though. So that is offset enough that I'm not convinced that it's a tornado on the ground. Farther west into Durham County, we're not seeing anything. So this is where the rotating part of the storm is, but it's just that same color everywhere. There's nothing that's been picked up that is an irregular shape that would give us any confidence that a tornado is on the ground and doing damage within Durham County. So the two tornado warnings we have in effect right now, Durham County is in effect until 8 o'clock this morning. Technically, that also includes eastern Orange County, but the rotating part of the storm is in Durham County. So Orange County, you're in the clear. And then the newest tornado warning is in effect until 8:15. That is in effect for eastern Nash County, western Edgecombe County, and for Halifax County as well. Still a strongly rotating storm. Again, it's widened out just a little bit, but that's a strong sign of rotation just along US 301. It has just been following that road the whole way up from Wilson. It's now to the north of Rocky Mount on its way towards Enfield as it tracks along the Nash and Edgecombe County border. Once it crosses over into Halifax County, that's when we will see a new tornado warning issued. So again, they've canceled the tornado warning for Orange County.
My mic is open. I'm jumping in with you. I just want to let you know that we are now going to go into extended coverage through 10 because these storms have been producing tornadoes. So we will be now on TV for you guys up until at least 10 o'clock this morning because Paul has been tracking these tornadoes all morning. So we're pretty certain that we will probably see more warnings as we head through the morning. So we're going to just stay with you guys. And I think probably focusing on this particular tornado because the radar signature is a lot stronger than that warning in Durham. So we will kind of bounce back and forth between the two. This particular rotation is looking pretty strong, as Paul said, right over 301 north of Rocky Mount. And the Weather Service has it moving off to the north and slightly to the northeast, which would put Enfield in line to possibly see impacts from this. You still got a little bit of time, but if you do live in Enfield, make sure that you are taking all of your tornado precautions. I will put a tracker on this to hopefully we'll pop in some of those smaller towns and neighborhoods. We can get some of those to pop up here. All right, perfect. 824 Heathsville. You guys are in line next. Lewis Crossroads, that's also in the direct line of the track here, and Pierce's Crossroads as well by 841. So if you live in any of these areas or somewhere in between them, make sure that you are in a safe spot in your house, away from windows and doors, away from glass. You don't want to be near any of that. Now I'm going to bounce back just quickly to check out the other tornado warning that we've been tracking in Durham County. Paul, that looks a lot broader, but I still see a little bit.
There is a little bit here. So to kind of translate what we're looking for there, and thank you to Aaron for, it's hard to both talk and drive the radar while you're doing that, so I appreciate it giving my voice a break. This is air going away from the radar. This is air coming towards the radar. So it's definitely spinning here, but we look for something that's much closer together, much more tightly packed together for a significant tornado threat, but it's enough to continue that tornado warning. And the reason we stick with it is because within the box of this tornado warning, there's 167,000 people that live within that box. So that is a significant threat, even if it's not imminently producing a tornado touchdown. That rotation is strong enough that we are keeping an eye on. In fact, the National Weather Service, what you heard there, that chirp, was them saying exactly the same thing that I was just saying. The velocity signature has decreased. It's kind of gotten stretched out, but they're going to continue monitoring it in case it tightens up once again. So while we're continuing with our coverage of that tornado warning in Durham County, the more imminent threat of a tornado actually touching down is this box that includes western Edgecombe County, eastern Nash County, and southern Halifax County, specifically the community of Enfield. Within that box, there's 22,000 people that live. So we are talking still about a significantly populated part of central North Carolina, but that Durham County storm, of course, has occupied our attention. So they're going to continue the tornado warning up until 8 o'clock for the Durham County storm, even though everybody looking at the data recognizes that it's not going to produce a tornado in the next 30 seconds. It can just tighten up once again and produce one over the next, say, 5 to 10, 15 minutes. So we're going to watch it. If the trend continues to be that the storm is less organized, then the warning will be canceled or allowed to expire. Right now, though, this is Wilson County. Excuse me, not Wilson County. It started in Wilson County. Now we're looking at eastern Nash County and western Edgecombe County. And what we're seeing here, I'm wondering if it's debris from when the tornado initially touched down way down to the south. It's been lofted way up into the storm and is now significantly separated from where the center of rotation is. That's a possibility. There's all sorts of radar tricks. This is relatively new technology. Aaron's circling that spot that we're looking at on the radar. Let's switch back over to velocity mode, see if there's anything else in there that could be potentially producing that. There is another spot of slight spin there, but it's really separated by quite a distance here from where the rotation is. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but not seeing anything right in the vicinity of that rotation to say that new damage is ongoing at the moment. So we'll watch that as well. Where we are right now is just to the east of Gold Rock along US 301 and to the east of I-95. It's just been right along US 301. It runs slightly east of due north and south as it heads up along the Nash and Edgecombe County border, and that is the path that this rotating thunderstorm has been following. We got just a little bit of new data and still rotating storm. Can we pop on the rainfall and see the shape of the thunderstorm itself? I wonder if it's redeveloped that hook that we were looking at earlier. There are little wiggles here as you look at the color pattern that might indicate that there's a bit more rotation kind of turning the shape of the raindrops surrounding that area of rotation within the thunderstorm. But earlier it had a more defined almost hook-echo, like a supercell thunderstorm that we were looking at when the tornado was actually on the ground. So we have 2 tornado warnings ongoing right now, one until 8 o'clock that is for western Durham County. Orange County has now been officially dropped from that tornado warning, and we have the other warning until 8:15. So let's return to Durham County, and again, we're going to keep a close eye on the storm. This one's tricky because it's not a real strong tornado signature. It's surrounded by a ton of rain, so it's hard to see and get any confirmation of this, but it's still a strongly rotating storm directly within a major urban area just to the west of the city of Durham and now heading farther to the northwest. So it's a big area of rotation that isn't reaching all the way down to ground level at the moment, but it bears careful watching, and there's more heavy rain on the way, lining up a little bit farther down the line that we're going to keep an eye on. Now let's return to what's happening in Chatham County. Oh, can you actually zoom over to Chapel Hill? I saw something there that I just want to keep an eye on. This spot right here, that bears close watching too. Let's turn on the rainfall rate and see if it looks like something we might be a little bit more concerned about. Again, surrounded by just a ton of rain, so it's going to be tough to get any spottings of these thunderstorms. We're talking about almost 3 inches per hour, 4 inches per hour of rainfall. That is torrential rain, similar to the rainfall rates that caused all of the flooding in south central North Carolina over the weekend in association with hurricane and then tropical storm and now tropical depression Florence. That's still the influence that we're seeing right now. Let me actually ask the Weather Service in the chat room here what if they're going to. I'll just type in Chapel Hill and a question mark, and hopefully they'll know what I'm talking about. That's tracking off to the north and east, and it's going to follow basically the same path into the existing tornado warning. So it might be one of the reasons why they're going to let that warning run up until 8 o'clock. We'll see if this becomes an area that shows some more definition as it gets into the same spots that prompted the tornado warning in the first place. But just take those tornado precautions just to be on the safe side, just east of Chapel Hill there along 15501 and then into western Durham County, just west of the city of Durham itself. That rotation right now, they're going to cancel the tornado warning for Durham County. So we're going to pan our focus away from that. This rotation has now weakened quite a bit too, but it's still stronger as it's moving through eastern Nash County, western Edgecombe County. It looks like this one's going to stay just west of the county line. So that's some good news there. Let's put a new track on this and show you the speed of it, going about 30 miles an hour so we can give you some arrival times. And I'm glad Aaron's panned the map out a little farther here so we can show you where Halifax is in Halifax County. And if it looks like it's going to go just west of Enfield, that would be good news. Some other spots by 8:16, so about 25 minutes from now, it would move towards Heathsville. Got a ways to go on that one as we continue to track it off to the north and east. The warning itself goes until 8:15. If it continues to weaken out, they'll probably cancel the tornado warning once again, or they may stick with it through that entire time frame because it has had a history of loosening out and then tightening up once again. If we're seeing on radar, if we're seeing data that indicates that it's not a threat, we're going to cover the flash flooding potential that's ongoing in the Triangle and other parts of central North Carolina as well. As we stick with our nonstop coverage here, we're going to go all the way up until 10 o'clock when Let's Make a Deal starts, just because the weather situation has been such a story over the weekend with all the flooding, and now we have flash flooding concerns right at the peak of rush hour within the Triangle, and we still have the tornado warning in eastern sections of central North Carolina. This is now the only tornado warning on the map. The Durham County warning has been allowed to expire. We also have flash flooding that continues to be a concern right now in Fayetteville, and Cumberland County chiming in with even more information, more road closures in Fayetteville. Travel strongly discouraged, really anywhere south of the Triangle with all the problems they've had there. The good news is Fayetteville getting a bit of a break from the rain, and we're going to see more of this as we go through the day. So this is really the last day that we're in breaking weather mode, where things are just changing on a minute-by-minute basis, and roads are closing, and more heavy rain is falling, and we get these tornado warnings being issued. The forecast heads into calmer direction, beginning later today, continuing tomorrow, and then finally everything just dries out as we hit the middle of the work week on Wednesday. So very heavy rain continues to move up through Siler City. Very heavy rainfall moving through eastern Orange County, western Durham County. That's where the tornado warning was. That has been canceled because the rotation weakened so much. We're still focused on this spot that is broadening out more and more as we speak. So the strongest spot here where the air is going in different direction. The raindrops are going in different direction. That's the green and the red. Those are separated now by the order of a couple of miles. So if it was a large tornado, you would see a very bright splotch that was that wide. This is just a broad rotation that's not reaching all the way down to ground level.
We just had a viewer call, and she has a pretty good description of that. So if you wanted to give out some information.
This is around 7:34 this morning. This is in Rocky Mount, just past the Wilson-Nash line. A viewer named Candace actually saw the bottom part of it, didn't touch down in her location. This was after the storm had already done damage in Elm City. That occurred around 7:08 this morning. So we're down towards the bottom of the screen. This is where the damage occurred. The storm continued towards Rocky Mount. That's the point at which the tornado warning was allowed to expire because the rotation had weakened out so much. But at that point, it was still a rotating storm, and our viewer Candace actually did see that rotating part of the thunderstorm, and now it has prompted a new tornado warning that goes until 8:15. But again, right now, that rotation is not very strong. We'll stick with it here through another couple of radar scans just to make sure it continues heading in that direction. That rotation, the air coming towards the radar is over 95. The air going away from the radar is on 301. That new scan puts them closer together once again, so that rotation might be getting its act together and a little bit closer to I-95 at this point, which is a greater concern for anybody who's traveling on that particular road. Let's get an estimate of the wind speeds within that storm, Aaron. We'll pick some of the brighter greens and brighter reds and get a sense of kind of the maximum of what we could be looking at with that storm. And we're talking around 60 miles an hour or so for the wind speeds. I believe those are both in the green shaded area there. So let's get a green and red. And yeah, probably 50 so miles an hour. Again, not a real strong sign at the moment, but this is a storm that has been persistent in rotating. This is the same storm that's been associated now with two different tornado touchdowns. This is the one that touched down near Goldsboro a couple of hours ago. Then it produced the damage about 45 minutes ago near Elm City, and it still has prompted a continuing tornado warning as it's moving right along I-95 and to the northeast. So it's about to cross over North Carolina Highway 33. It's now running just a little west of US 301 as that highway runs through Whitakers, and now paralleling North Carolina Highway 4 as well as it's moving off to the north and northeast. If it is a tornado, it's likely not a strong one. I would anticipate with this look on the radar, it'd be one of those tornadoes that briefly touches down, lifts up, briefly touches down, lifts up. But that's still a concern if it's in your vicinity and heading farther to the north. So as we zoom out a little bit wider here, where we're looking is in eastern Nash County on its way up into Halifax County. Here are a couple more chirps here. They're going to cancel the tornado warning for Edgecombe County, which we've been talking about, that Edgecombe County is in the clear. This is staying on the Nash County side of the line. They're going to continue the tornado warning up until 8:15. It is still radar indicated right now, moving to the north at 25 miles an hour. So that's the latest update, and they're right there. If we can get an estimate for just those two spots, that's 56 miles an hour coming towards the radar. And we look at the other pixel that's right next to it. That is air that's going away from the radar at 23 miles an hour. So that is about an 80 mile an hour wind estimate right around that center of rotation. This is why I was stuck with it, because I just had a sense that it might actually spin up into another tornado, and I would call that at least a strongly possible tornado, maybe on the weekend of a likely tornado right here just east of I-95, and it's about to move from Nash County into southern Halifax County. It does look like it's going to stay just to the west of Enfield here as it runs along and east of I-95. It may cross over the highway if it trends more in a northerly direction as the highway bends a little bit more to the northeast. Let's put another storm track on this and give you an estimated time of arrival. Let's call it that 25 mile an hour speed. That seems to have been the consistent speed at which these storms have been moving to the north and northeast, and some communities will pop up here. Heathsville again by 8:24. So we're talking about a ways down the line here. This isn't a densely populated part of central North Carolina because it is staying just to the west of Whitakers, to the west of Enfield, those communities along US 301. Let me see if I can get an estimate on how many people actually live within that tornado warning box as it's been redrawn to exclude now the western part of Edgecombe County. So let's see if we can get that information for you right now. And the tornado warning continues. Just over 6,500 people that live within this box, most of whom are going to live in the community of Enfield. So let's return to the flash flooding concern that's happening right now within portions of the triangle. You can see very heavy rainfall with this storm as well, on the order of about 2 inches per hour. You're looking at tornado damage on the right-hand side of your screen that occurred overnight. Sampson County, there was a tornado that possibly touched down or could have been wind damage. Just based on what I can see from across the room here, is looking towards the camera and the TV that's just below it. It does look like tornado damage from a brief touchdown. The rain that's happening right now is falling very heavily, especially within Durham County. So there's downtown Raleigh and RDU. Downtown Raleigh, I'm going to break from the rain. Durham County, it's an entirely different story. The good news is that you're not in a tornado warning anymore, but it is raining at a very heavy rate. We already have some flooding problems around the city of Durham. Other parts of Durham County are going to continue to have those problems as well. Chapel Hill beginning to dry out, so you're in a break right now, and we're going to see more of these breaks as we head through the day. But there is another storm towards Pittsburgh that's going to have to roll up through southern Orange County before you get into a more prolonged break from the thunderstorms and the very heavy rain. It's also raining very heavily in Siler City. Flooding possible throughout Chatham County as you're heading along US 64. These storms are moving along, so at least they're not parked in place like the parent system, Florence, was over the weekend. That thing was just crawling along at like 2 to 3 miles an hour. These storms are moving, and they're moving in a different direction. Over the weekend, we were tracking everything going from the right-hand side of the screen over to the left-hand side of the screen because everything was pivoting around that center of tropical circulation. The storm, Florence, has just been kind of pulled apart, and so now everything is kind of returning to more of a normal configuration where at least there's some eastward movement to these thunderstorms. That rotation now is just about to cross over the county line from Nash County into southern Halifax County, and once again, the rotation has weakened. So it just has been doing this over and over again, where it tightens up, becomes maybe a tornado or a likely tornado even, a confirmed tornado touchdown in Wilson County. And then it loosens out and we start to breathe a little easier, but then all of a sudden it spins up again. So we're going to get into that storm. I don't think it's an imminent threat of producing a tornado touchdown. It is right over I-95 though, as it runs up from Nash County into Halifax County. And there's little spots of rotation elsewhere too. I'm just kind of looking at the big picture perspective here and seeing the reds and greens that are side by side, spinning parts of these thunderstorms. Another one just to the north of Nashville itself, also moving off to the north and east. So all of them are heading in the same direction. The one that's prompted the warning is the strongest area of rotation, but you see, just compare the colors here. This is bigger, but the colors aren't that much different from the other spots that we're tracking on the radar either. They are looking right now, this is a strong thunderstorm showing signs of tornado. So that's the kind of translation, is that it's rotating, affecting southeastern Alamance, southwestern Orange County, northwestern Chatham County. So that's the storm that we were just zoomed in on here in Siler City, and that's the spot right there, northeast of Siler City. This is going to skirt through eastern Alamance County and potentially affect western Orange County. So this is going to stay to the west of Chapel Hill. It hasn't prompted a tornado warning. There's another weaker area of rotation that's on its way towards Siler City. We've got a lot of spinning storms out there, and they're all heading the same direction, to the north and east. Eventually, they're going to get farther away from the environment that allowed them to rotate so strongly in the first place, and those rotations will weaken even further. But all the storms bear watching. This is definitely a case that even if you're heading out the door right now, you want to stay weather aware because there could be warnings issued on a very short-term basis. You can follow us on social media. All the warnings are immediately posted to our social media profiles, whether they're tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings or flash flood warnings for that matter too. This is the view in Durham County. This is the velocity mode, and there's still some rotation showing up here. It's just not as strong as what initially prompted that tornado warning a little while ago. That tornado warning was issued around 7:33 this morning. It has since been canceled. There's still a ton of rain falling in Durham County as we speak. Seeing some other advisories coming in. These are flood warnings, so we're going to return to that threat coming up in just a second. Cloud to ground lightning strike, a new one just right downtown within Durham, associated with some of that very, very heavy rain that's working its way farther off to the north and east into the direction of Person County, Granville County. Vance County has been getting some very heavy rainfall. Wake County is getting a break from the heaviest rain. The heaviest rain in the Triangle over the weekend was in Wake County, especially the southern part of Wake County. Now that's taking more of a break. We'll return to our storm that is crossing over from in Nash County into Halifax County, and that thing is falling apart. So that is a very broad rotation at this point. There is a tighter part of it that's kind of spun up a little bit south of where the first rotation was, and that can happen. The rotation kind of migrates around a little bit. That is to the west of Whitaker's right now. So they're going to continue the warning for Halifax and Nash counties, probably in reaction to that, until 8:15 this morning. So 13 miles north of Rocky Mount, that's exactly the spot that we are looking at here. It's not strong. In fact, this one looks like it's starting to get its act together to a greater degree right now, farther to the west within Halifax County right now. That is right along the Halifax and Warren County border. There's another one near Red Oak. That's a pretty weak area of rotation for the moment, but all of them obviously bear watching. So we have the one that has prompted a tornado warning, two more that we're watching in this vicinity, and then two more on top of that that are farther to the west that we are also watching. So numerous things, numerous storms that are spinning, all because of still Florence. This is now the 5th day in a row of direct impacts on our weather from what was once a Category 4 hurricane, of course, was Category 1 when it hit the shore on Friday, and has been producing flooding rains across central North Carolina throughout the weekend and continues to cause flooding problems for us right now. It's a broadly rotating storm that's on the radar right now in Durham. That's not a significant concern at the moment. The storm that's moving up from northwestern Chatham County into southeastern Alamance County. So again, not in our viewing area, but we're going to keep an eye on it because if it continues on that path, it's going to glance through Alamance County, head into western Orange County. So if it prompts a warning, we will let you know. The latest radar scan shows that rotation has not tightened up, but it's definitely still there. So we're going to keep an eye on it because we want to make sure we give you as much of a heads up as possible that something producing a tornado that's capable of the damage you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen could be headed towards you if you live in these particular paths of these rotating storms. You're looking at damage from overnight. This is from just after midnight in Sampson County. That was the video you were seeing there. CBS 17's Derek Lewis has been on the scene of that throughout the morning. It's damage that occurred to some weaker structures. These tornadoes associated with tropical systems tend to not be very strong. I'm waiting for some word from Elm City in terms of the magnitude of damage that we saw within Wilson County as that storm rolled through, because that has by far been the most impressive looking radar signature that we've seen all along. I beg your pardon?
I was just speaking to our producer.
Oh, okay. We're still communicating back and forth with figuring out which counties are still included. So we have Nash County and Halifax County right now. That rotation still not a big concern right now. The one farther off to the northwest is, I think, more of a concern in the short term, and that's headed towards the community of Littleton. So let's focus a little bit on that one. It's not going to produce a tornado right now, but it's just to the south of Littleton. So it looks like it's going to pass just to the east of Littleton, well to the west of Roanoke Rapids. This is farther west of I-95 within Halifax County. This line right here is the Halifax and Warren County borders. Just to give you a sense of geographic perspective here. The tornado warning storm is farther southeast of that. This one is spinning, but it's spinning at about the same rate as the other one, and one of them has a warning, one of them doesn't. The one that has the warning still has a much stronger history of producing. It's produced a couple of tornadoes already this morning. One just north of Goldsboro in the Stony Creek area, another one in the Elm City area within Wilson County that almost held together as it moved into Rocky Mount, because we have had reports of at least a funnel cloud in the vicinity of Rocky Mount as well. So that tornado warning has another 10 minutes to run if they don't cancel it ahead of time. At this point, if I had one more radar scan, in fact, they just canceled that tornado warning. So that was the chirp you just heard, and we saw the tornado warning drop off of the map. Let's return farther west, and again, without any active tornado warnings, we're going to get some more coverage on the flash flooding situation, get some reports from our reporters in the field, some other information that Tanai and Russ have been putting together as well. And we'll continue keeping an eye on these rotating storms that are a little bit farther west of the triangle. Heavy rain right now is the concern for Durham County. There's this rotating storm moving northeastward out of northwestern Chatham County. It's going to eventually carry through into western Orange County. So Hillsborough, you should be keeping an eye on this storm. Doesn't have a warning with it. Just something we're going to watch for you. If it's not a big deal, great. That's what we prefer. And there's another rotating storm out towards Siler City that's following along the same path. So these storms have been developing in specific places. They just find these little channels where there's a little more spin, and that spin tends to maintain itself for quite a while. So we're seeing separate storms that are showing those signs of rotation here along a line from western Orange County down into western Chatham County. The Durham County storm, we'll keep an eye on that, but that's really a flood maker at this point. So be very careful. If you have to head out the door for work this morning, you have to make your way through all of this rain. Allow extra time. Be ready to reroute yourself. Safety above everything else. It's better be a little bit late and remain safe than take a chance. We've seen that video over and over again throughout the past couple of days, especially farther south of the triangle as the flooding impacted that part of central North Carolina. So we're going to kind of reset things. We'll get some reports from our anchors in the field, some other information, and we'll keep an eye on those storms. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with another update.
All right, thank you, Paul Hagan, working all